All right, so you guys wanted to deep dive into family harmony.
Yeah.
And we found something pretty interesting, actually.
Wow.
It's a sermon transcript.
I know.
Not usually what you think of when you think of, like, relationship advice.
Right. But hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
This one, it's based on Ephesians 5.21:33.
Oh.
It's all about husbands and wives.
Okay.
But even if you aren't religious, stick with us on this one, okay?
Right.
Because this sermon, it actually has some really practical, really thought-provoking insights on relationships.
Really? Like what?
Okay, so it starts off with this really captivating story about two families, they're neighbors.
Okay.
One family, it's just a couple and they fight all the time.
Oh, yikes.
And then the other family, it's
Yes.
huge, like multi-generational, tons of people.
Wow.
But they're always joyful.
Really?
Yeah, and the secret,
What is it?
everyone just takes the blame for everything. No finger pointing, no arguments.
This is complete harmony.
Wow, that's a really interesting approach.
Yeah.
It kind of seems counterintuitive. Like,
Yeah.
you would think that blaming each other would just lead to more problems.
You think. Right.
But I can see how, if you're not focusing on whose fault it is,
Yeah.
you can actually create a more peaceful environment.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like sometimes it's more important to just try to understand each other
Exactly.
and find some kind of unity
Right.
instead of always trying to be right.
Yes. And that's where this whole biblical thing comes in.
Okay.
So Ephesians 5,
Uh-huh.
it talks about wives submitting to their husbands
Okay.
and husbands loving their wives selflessly.
Selflessly.
Like mirroring how Christ loved the church.
Right.
Now, I know
Right.
that word submission, it's a little,
Yeah, maybe not the best word.
yeah, I can raise some eyebrows these days.
Especially now with
Yeah.
everything going on about equality
All right, it gets
and marriage and everything.
Yeah.
This sermon,
Mm-hmm.
it frames it in a way that's not really about, like, who has the power.
Right, not about that.
It's more about the importance of order
Okay.
and responsibility within a family.
Okay, yeah, so it's more about structure
Exactly.
than like a power struggle.
Right. And what I found interesting is that this sermon,
Yeah.
it actually emphasizes the husband's responsibility a lot,
Oh, that's interesting.
which I thought was really refreshing, actually.
Yeah, you don't always hear that.
Right.
Hmm.
And it highlights this phrase from Ephesians,
Mm-hmm.
love your wives as yourself.
Wow. That's,
It's powerful, right?
yeah, it really makes you think.
Like, what does that really mean?
It goes beyond just,
Yeah,
providing for them.
right. It's deeper than that.
It's like you have to really understand them and value them,
Yeah,
see them as a part of you.
right.
And that takes a lot of empathy
Yes,
and selflessness.
definitely.
And speaking of profound,
This sermon, it's got this story.
oh,
It really brings this idea to life.
okay.
It's about this husband.
Yeah.
He's an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
And there's this incredible transformation
Really?
because of his wife.
Hmm.
And what she did was, she was just grateful.
Okay, I'm interested. Tell me more.
So this story,
Yeah.
so this wife,
Yeah.
she's struggling
Right?
with her husband. He's an alcoholic.
It's tough.
Yeah, she's feeling really lost
Yeah.
and hopeless.
You can imagine.
So she goes to her pastor
Okay.
for advice.
Makes sense.
And what he tells her is, well, it's pretty unexpected.
Oh. What's that?
He tells her to find things to be grateful for.
What?
Yeah.
Even with all that?
Yeah, like even in the midst of all this pain.
Wow.
I mean, it's hard, right?
to find gratitude in that situation.
Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder
Of what?
that even when things are really dark,
Yeah.
there's always something to appreciate.
Yeah, there's always something,
Yeah.
right?
Always.
So what happens? Does she find things?
She does.
Really?
Yeah, she really takes his advice to heart.
Mm.
And she starts thinking about her life.
Yeah.
And she manages to come up with 3 things.
3 things.
3 things she's grateful for
About her husband.
about her husband.
Wow. Okay, what are they?
Okay, so number 1, he's an alcoholic, right?
Right.
But he doesn't physically abuse her.
Oh, wow.
Number 2, he stays out late,
Yeah, that's common, unfortunately.
but he always comes home.
Oh, okay.
And number 3, he doesn't stop her from going to church.
Interesting.
So they might not seem like these grand gestures,
No, not really.
but for her,
Yeah.
in that situation,
Yeah.
they become like these beacons of hope.
Wow. So just shifting your focus like that
Yeah,
can really change things.
absolutely.
So then what happens?
Well, she's so overcome with this gratitude that she actually starts to cry.
Oh, no.
Yeah. As she's watching him sleep.
Oh, wow.
He wakes up,
Yeah.
sees her crying, and he's like, what's wrong?
Right, of course.
And she tells him,
Up with the gratitude.
yeah, she explains everything.
Wow, so she's just completely vulnerable.
Totally.
That's got to be hard.
Very hard.
And what does he do?
He's touched.
Really?
Yeah, he's so moved by it.
By her sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
You know what he does?
What?
He decides to go to church with her.
No way, really?
Yeah, the next Sunday.
Wow, just from that one conversation.
It's incredible, right?
It really is the power of...
Just that vulnerability
Yeah.
and genuine appreciation.
It can change people.
It really can.
So does it end there?
It doesn't.
What happens?
This guy, he ends up becoming a dedicated member of the congregation.
Wow, so his life completely changes.
Completely changed.
From that one moment.
That one moment of connection.
Wow, so it all goes back to this idea of...
Selflessly loving your spouse.
Right, and you know,
Right.
what's amazing is that these principles, they're rooted in faith.
Right?
But they apply to everyone.
I think so too.
Like this idea of shifting your focus from blame to appreciation.
It's huge.
That can help any relationship.
Absolutely. And it's not just romantic relationships.
No, I mean,
Like any relationship.
friendships, family.
Coworkers.
Yeah, all of it.
It's about looking for the positive
Yes, it is.
and choosing to appreciate what you have.
That's a good point. And, you know,
Yeah.
we talked about submission earlier.
Right, right.
I'm kind of curious to hear more about how this sermon, like, you know.
How it frames that concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it basically says that submission,
Yeah.
it's not about one person being superior.
Yeah.
It's more about recognizing that
Yeah.
a family, just like any system,
Yeah.
needs a certain level of order and organization.
To thrive.
Exactly.
So it's not about, like, you know,
Right.
dictating who's in charge.
No, it's not about that.
It's more about understanding the responsibilities
Mhm.
that come with each role.
In the family.
Right.
And it goes on to say
What's that?
that this applies not just to husbands and wives,
Oh, okay.
but to everyone in the family.
Interesting.
So like
Yeah.
parents, they have a responsibility
Yeah.
to guide their children
Right.
and nurture them.
Of course.
And children.
Uh-huh.
They have a responsibility
To what?
to respect their parents
Okay.
and obey them.
So it's about working together.
Exactly.
Everyone playing their part
Right.
to create a harmonious...
Whole.
I like that.
It's like a dance, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They're moving together
Insane.
to create something beautiful.
I love that.
That analogy really captures it.
Yeah, it does.
It's a true harmony.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from getting your own way.
No.
It comes from recognizing
Hmm.
that we're all connected.
And that even the most traditional teachings can give us like
For
fresh
sure.
perspectives.
On modern challenges.
Yeah. This has been a really interesting deep dive.
It has.
We've talked about gratitude,
Mhm.
selflessness,
Yeah.
family dynamics.
It's been a journey.
It really has. You know, it's funny. You wouldn't think a sermon would have
Yeah.
like actual relationship advice.
Right.
But this one, it's full of them.
It really is.
And they're so insightful.
It's amazing how these teachings,
Yeah.
they've been around for so long,
Mm-hmm.
but they still apply today.
It's because they're talking about like
Yeah.
human nature. You know?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like we all want connection.
Right. We crave it.
And the sermon, it gives us a way to get there.
And one of the biggest takeaways for me
Yeah.
is this idea of perspective.
Oh, yeah. Like,
In that story with the husband,
right. The alcoholic husband.
his wife just chose to focus on the good.
And it changed everything.
It really did.
It's like we always have a choice.
In how we see things,
Exactly.
we can focus on the bad stuff, or
Well-
we can look for the good.
Even when it's hard.
And the sermon, it doesn't just say,
Yeah.
be grateful.
Right. It gives us a way to do it.
Remember that question it asks
Which one?
at the end?
Oh, about.
Yeah, like what's one thing you're grateful for in your family?
Right. And how expressing that gratitude
Yeah.
can change things.
It's not about ignoring the problems.
Yeah, definitely not.
Or pretending everything's perfect.
It's about actively looking for the good.
Even in messed up families.
Yeah. There's always something.
Always something right.
And it's important to remember
What's that?
that expressing gratitude,
Yeah.
it's not just some feel-good thing.
Right.
It can actually create change.
Like in the story.
Exactly. When that wife told her husband
Yeah.
how grateful she was,
He changed.
completely changed.
It's like a positive feedback loop, you know?
It really is. Like,
You appreciate something.
uh-huh.
You feel good.
And then you want to appreciate more,
Mm.
and it spreads to others.
It's contagious.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the main thing is
What's that?
it's not about some perfect family
No.
with no arguments.
That doesn't exist.
Exactly. It's about being grateful, understanding each other.
And realizing that
Yeah.
even small acts of love
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
They really can.
And remember, harmony, it's a journey.
It's not a destination.
There are going to be bumps in the road.
Of course.
But if you keep working at it
Yeah.
and you choose love,
Any relationship can thrive.
even the tough ones. So think about that question from the sermon.
What are you grateful for?
In your family,
How can you show it?
and until next time,
Keep diving deep.
into whatever interests you.